there was a car explosion at the Devil's Lake Walmart. And when they put the fire out, his body was inside the car. They did rule it as suicide that night, but the Walmart cameras have never been seen by anybody, and there's been a lot of speculation around his death. I had a $500,000 bond. I couldn't bond out because I couldn't afford it. And I fought from the inside. It took me 18 months, but the charges were dropped.
What's up, guys? We're here with another episode of the Discipline and Legacy podcast. I got this beautiful young lady here, Christina Feliciano. Came to Jacksonville, was just on her podcast a little while ago, so we did a little swap here. This lady is killing it in the game.
Thank you.
Of just testosterone replacement therapy. I'll save it for you.
Yeah. So.
But I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for coming on my podcast and letting me speak. Appreciate it.
Definitely.
So, my business is the Alpha Clinic, and I've had it for a little over 4 years, and I specialize in aesthetics, and really my specialization is body transformations. So with men, we can achieve that with testosterone replacement. With men and women, we can use GLP-1 peptides. There's other peptides. It's all about transformation. Our motto is Underdog to Alpha. I know that I've really been an underdog before, and I believe that no matter how far gone you think that you are, that there's always hope that you could always transform your life. And that's really the model. And I'm really here to just help people. And I think that a lot of times our society focuses a lot of mental health and trying to change your mind. And I sometimes think sometimes that can come later, right? So when people come into me, I'm like, you know what? We're not even going to worry about your mind. We're just going to follow this plan, and we're going to discipline your body. And when we get your discipline your body and we get your body healthy, your mind's going to follow, I promise. But right now, we're not going to worry about how you're feeling emotionally. We're just going to, and I think that's my mother's Swedish. My dad, I always say I'm half Swedish, half Southern redneck, which is true. But, there's a little bit of stoicism in Sweden. It's right by Russia. It's a little bit different of kind of my mom, my whole life was we don't go by emotions. I don't care how you feel. We do this. You make a commitment and you keep it. And it's a little bit of a different attitude. And I think I bring that to the clinic. I love and care about people, but also we're going to do this.
It's a tough
but I love, exactly.
But I think folks need that.
Exactly. And
I was that guy. You got to have some sort of push. I mean, and it is coaching too.
For sure. Yeah. And I do a lot of weight loss, and they come in weekly and they have to weigh, and they don't love that, but it's just part of accountability, but also helping, people too. Right. So it's not just about, I'm tough, but I really care about people. And I also, the other thing, what I always tell people to make them not feel so bad when it's hard to make behavioral changes is that our brain is programmed to keep us alive, right, and survive. Yeah. So what happens is, you said you're 39, 40?
I'll be 40 this year.
So let's say that just theoretically, you are 400 pounds, you're obese, and you're an alcoholic. And you come into me and you want to change. And you're trying to make changes and you can't. What happens? And
I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah. So, right. So
that throws a wrench in there too, because not only do you want to lose weight, but
you come and you want to make all these changes, and you might let's say you do good for a day or two. Part of it is that our brain there's part of our brain that says, wait a second, eating all this food, has kept me alive for this long. Drinking this alcohol to cope with the pain or whatever has kept me alive for this long. So it's almost like there's a part of the brain, and there's scientific evidence to show this, is that even though it's causing you harm, there's part of your brain that's wait a second, I've kept this body alive for 40 years, even though if you override that, you're not healthy, or you're going to die, it's going to come to bad consequences. So for people to not feel so hard on themselves, that it takes some time for the brain to make changes. But it's completely possible. If there's neuroplasticity, there's a ton of research that shows the brain is malleable. It can change. You don't have to stay that way forever. But it does take repetition. It does take, some time. And that's a lot of the reason, too, with my programs. I don't let anyone join a program at Alpha unless you're willing to commit at least 3 months. Okay. Because I guarantee your money back. And if you're not going to give me 12 weeks, then I don't want to take your money.
Same.
So I really want you to give me 6 months, but give me 12. They all will stay a little bit longer. Right. Yeah, but at least 12 weeks. If you're not going to give me 12 weeks, then I'm not going to take you.
What are we doing? Yeah.
So, exactly. So that's, part of it. And then I also do Botox and fillers. It's kind of a thing I do on the side, but I am proud that I was voted best in Jacksonville for cosmetic injector. So,
what was that? Was there a big pool of?
Yeah, I'm sure it was, to be honest, probably somewhat of I'm good at sales, so I'm wait, vote for me, please. So they had initial, nominations, and however many people, I don't know, like they just have like write-ins, right?
Right.
So I was nominated, and then basically they had just like an open voting for the month of December. So
that's cool.
but
though.
yeah.
No, we have something similar in our area. It's like a best like everything. So
Okay,
for,
yeah.
like best barbershop. You know,
Okay, yes, that's exactly, they have it all,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. So they have like the best of everything, and then it was for me because of everything I've gone through. It was like and I know we shouldn't be prideful, but it was kind of a source because not only did I win, but then they
no,
also
but there's a difference between being prideful and being proud.
yeah,
of,
and then
of
there was
yourself.
like they chose like 5, so they might have had like I don't know, hundreds of categories, and then they also put me on the cover, which I didn't know, so that was really cool.
Awesome.
Like until the day I
Yeah.
found out, so that was just like special. I was like, that's cool. Thank you,
neat.
Jacksonville, because I also was incarcerated here for this city for 18 months and no one visited me. So to go from that to like being on the cover and like best of Jacksonville, it's like, that's pretty cool. Thank you guys.
We got to hop into that story for sure.
Yeah, so we can. A little bit of background, So I grew up in Maryland. My dad raced horses. My grandfather my whole life, and went to Sweden during the summers. Pretty good childhood, and I came down to Florida for undergrad. Met my husband. He was New Yorker, and we got together pretty young. Got married. Had 3 beautiful children. And then we were living in Jacksonville. We moved to North Dakota in 2017. I was going to work as a nurse practitioner for Spirit Lake Health, or Spirit Lake Tribe, which is an Indian reservation up in North Dakota. And then he moved up. He had become an attorney, and he was working as CCO, which is Chief Compliance Officer of the Spirit Lake Tribe. And then we were up there not for very long. We got there in the summer. He was having like some disagreements. There were some things going on, and we both were terminated early December without any cause. And he, was writing them back and forth. And then we do have like a letter from Spirit Lake Tribe addressed to Milton, basically saying they were going to look into his allegations of harassment and take appropriate action based on the findings. And that was dated December 13th. And then December 20th of 2017, there was a car explosion at the Devil's Lake Walmart, and when they put the fire out, his body was inside the car. They did rule it as suicide that night, but the Walmart cameras have like never been seen by anybody, and there's been a lot of speculation around his death, and that was a really horrible, horrendous time for me. So I took our 3 children, came back to Florida. I was not in a good state.
This was in Idaho.
North Dakota. But we weren't from there. We were just so I came down in 2018. So he dies. I come down with the 3 kids. And I now realize too how my behavior looked kind of like suspicious because this happens and then I'm like not speaking to anybody. And it made sense to me to come to Florida because that's where we were from. But I was really just like isolating. I had already been prescribed prescription drugs like for like mental health, like ADHD, anxiety for years, and at really high doses too. Because the longer you're on it, so I'm taking more and more and more. And I don't really know like chicken or egg what exactly how it all like what caused what, but there were allegations of prescription drug abuse, and then also my husband allegedly with some friends here in Florida was like under federal investigation for some white collar things, and then I was under investigation, and they ended up removing all 3 of our sons. They went to Connecticut to be with family. I'm not doing well. So then at this time, now I'm still taking prescription drugs, but I have no like job. I don't have my kids. So now they're just like really like not making my brain. Like, and I've gone through significant trauma. He's died. They've taken my kids.
Yeah.
My attorneys are like, you're under investigation. I'm like, I didn't do it. Like, I'm like, I don't really know up from down. So I'm like, really, my mental health is not good. I end up moving back to North Dakota because I feel like, well, everyone in Florida is like against against me. At least in North Dakota, like he died there, but nobody's like accusing me of the thing. So I feel like almost safer there. I then go to Connecticut to file things in court, which is where my kids are, get arrested in Connecticut because the family is concerned that I'm there, that I'm going to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't make it there. Like, I don't see my kids, but get arrested there, get felony charges pressed in Connecticut, go back to North Dakota. Florida basically files some bogus charges on me, flies me down to Florida. As soon as I get there, I speak to my attorney. Milton's best friend from law school has been arrested on the next day in Florida, in Jacksonville. And basically it was a lot of a mess. I had a $500,000 bond. I couldn't bond out because I couldn't afford it. And I fought from the inside. It took me 18 months, but the charges were dropped. And I was able to get out. But in those 18 months, I ended up losing my house, my car. I had some money. I spent it, I lost everything. So when I come out, I'm homeless. The only good thing about it.
What time frame was this now, too?
How
many years ago from now?
Okay, so I got arrested in Connecticut in 2018, get the felony and misdemeanor charges, bond out, get arrested later that month in August in North Dakota for extradition, get held in North Dakota jail, federal holding, but I was the state charges from August to October. Then they get transportation. They fly me private. It was kind of bizarre because they got like a private transportation person for me, but they flew me like 3 Delta flights down to Duval County to Jacksonville. And then I was incarcerated because I couldn't bond out from October of 2018 till March 2020. And then I was in maximum security because of how high my bond was. And then they said I was flight risk because I had dual citizenship and also because I had ties to like other states of the Indian reservation. So that's why they had my bond so high. It took me 18 months. But the positive thing was I got off all prescription drugs the day that I was arrested. Which was the day that I was arrested was August.
What was that like as far
20th, 2018. How was that like?
Detoxing in jail.
So fortunately I wasn't on any opiates. The benzo I guess I wasn't on as much benzo as I thought. I was much more like Adderall.
Right.
So I'm just like sleeping a lot. I didn't really have like a bad withdrawal. I do remember for the longest time when I was in jail, for the first couple of months.
Right.
Thinking like I didn't think I was going to get held for 18 months.
Right.
And I had a house in North Dakota. I had money. I thought that this was all like kind of bogus. I don't understand like the severity of everything. So I'm like, I do remember thinking when I was like in jail though, like I had just got my prescriptions filled and like I can't wait to get out and I'm going to go back to the house and I'm going to, get, like I was thinking of that. And then when I was in jail, like after about a year in jail, I was like, you know what? Like maybe I don't need drugs. Like I was, like maybe I should not like be doing drugs. And I was going to church while I was incarcerated. I developed even quickly when I was in jail to like be able to like just for my mental health. I had like a routine. Like I tried to worked out every day. I read the Bible every day. I played cards every day. Like I was very, structured.
You had a routine.
Yeah, a routine. So then I was like about a year in where I was like, the AA started to come in, and I started just going to like AA meetings. Yeah. Even though alcohol was not really my like drug of choice,
but still.
And I started to be like, I think that this is a better way.
Yeah.
Probably of going like sober. At this time, I was completely sober up until about 6 months ago. I have drank like some of the THC drinks, and I'm having like right now kind of like I'm not sure. Like I'm praying for discernment. I'm like if this is like if this is like a slippery slope, I should completely stop, or if it's something I don't know. But
there's some of them that are like THC free and right that are
or like the CBD.
The CBD,
But I've not been on any prescription drugs for this for 8 years now, and that's kind of like
what
the
would you
story.
say? Because like obviously you had like you just said you had that point where you're like maybe I don't need drugs. I mean, especially with prescription drugs? Because here's the reality: is that most of America, most folks, I mean, they say. Even like the number one abuser of prescription drugs,
probably doctors.
Doctors.
So
they're doing like a 8-hour surgery on like Opanas and stuff, like taking opiates because you got to be. I mean, it's difficult. 100%. You're bending over for 8 hours.
I know.
Straight,
I sometimes joke with my business partner. I'm like, if you just let me do Adderall for a month, we'd have $1 billion company right now.
But the thing is, anybody could take Adderall and it'll work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to have ADHD.
So exactly.
Methamphetamine salts.
Yeah. So I'm like, if I just took out just 1 month.
People are like, you drink 2 monsters a day. I'm like, dude, I used to smoke meth. Like, we're good here.
I mean, I think that. So there's a scripture. It's 2 Peter. I want to say 5:7, but it says, depending on the translation, it's be sober-minded, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, goes around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. And that's something even now I'm just praying for discernment. And what I realized was there were so many things with Milton's death, before that with the kids removing, had I been of complete sober mind, I would have been alert. I would have been able to see things coming that I was not able to see because of like being in like a drug-induced fog. So that was a lot of it, was just kind of thinking like once I got really clear-headed. So, I mean, I like people that like, I'm really blessed. I don't have many friends, but like the people that ride for me really ride for me. Like my best friend from high school, still my best friend. My best friend, like I have like 20-year friendships, and like I've always been really fun. And
more
like,
about a quality.
Yeah. So and everyone knows me as like pretty fun and can be pretty wild. So I love to have fun. Right. So like there's a lot of things that like you
still have fun sober, right?
You can for sure. But yeah, so I think that I just started to see that maybe, for my kids' sake, like it's kind of maybe like a living sacrifice where like, I could feel a little better, but I'm going to like not.
Was that like an epiphany for you? Like to like realize like, hey, I don't need this? Or I guess I'm trying to get to hear like your side to where like, I know, because I can identify with exactly that.
I mean,
like,
I kind of, so it's still like a really big, like, it's still a temptation. And it talks about in scripture, Paul talks about that he asks like God to remove the thorn in his side, right? And then God says he's not going to remove the thorn because it's going to be his strength, not, your strength. So I think I kind of more fall into that category where it's not even that I'm like, it's so much better, like life is so much better without it. I can see that it's destructive and, different 100%. Things like that. But that kind of like, there's a lot of positives, but like it's better for my kids, my future grandchildren, to be like a straight and narrow, and that it's much my role, even though I don't have custody of my children, I believe my purpose is to be a follower of Jesus and to be a mother. And even though, I don't have custody of my children and I won't see them until they turn 18. My oldest turns 18 next year. My purpose that God designed me for, I believe, was to be a wife and a mother. Like that's what I think my purpose is. So so I mean, so I think it's just like I'm trying to, do that role. I'm not a wife, but to try to still be a mother. And I think that, straight and narrow and not being on drugs is the way that probably I should be a better mom. So
some people can do it. Like some people can. I know somebody that's been doing it for years, just going and getting a prescription of Adderall and Percocets.
And the other thing.
And they live their life that way.
And I come from like an addict family. There's a lot of addiction in our family. My dad's kind of he doesn't drink alcohol anymore. There's my grandparents, but I think that also I don't really have that like necessarily when it comes to like pills. I don't have like necessarily like an off. Like I want more. Because I want to just keep on feeling good. I don't really participate like in NA, but the whole, like one isn't, what's
one is too many and 1,000.
That's how I am with pills. Yeah.
So for me, I say one is too many and 1,000 is just a good start.
Okay. So so I just like.
I agree.
So, and that's like my close like friends and family are like, we love you, but just do not go back there.
I mean, and then, you still have fun, right?
Well,
so, I mean, you can, that's, I go out with, not all the time, but like my wife likes to have a glass of wine, that we go out to the clubs and stuff, but I tell people like I get to experience life.
No, for sure.
Like I get to experience everything no matter what. Like they might have forgot what happened last night, but I was there and I saw it and I can tell you about it. And I get to drive you home, and like for me it's cool. And I get work. Like I'm networking at the club and like.
No, that's cool. It's also funny. So, I was saying that I got arrested here. So when everything happened back in 2018 and I was on at like all these things, I lost my mind. Like I'm talking about I lost my mind.
Yeah.
And I think in hindsight, I think I was just probably like in some sort of like Adderall, like psychosis, truly.
Yeah.
But when you're like in a psych, you can't tell them anything, right? So not only that, but I needed to tell the world everything that I was thinking. So I go to like Facebook and I'm talking about.
You were one of those. Huh?
One of those. Then I get locked up for 18 months. And I put my Facebook private because I want everyone to know the truth. So I get out of jail and these people are like, this crazy, she's this. So it like you would have never thought I could have come back but this is why I have so many followers on Facebook because when I was crashing out.
People were like, this lady's awesome. Like, follow.
Because people want to see, I mean, they like a. So then, by the grace of God, when I came out, I could remember my passwords, was able to like erase all the crazy stuff that I had written. Wow. Keep, because I had it, and then just like keep chugging along. But I didn't when I got out, I was homeless, had no car, no money.
Wow.
I ended up living with someone that I met in jail. It was not a healthy, good living situation. I thought it was going to be a very temporary, but right when I got out, I didn't get out because of COVID. Like that wasn't, although they were doing release, but just like the timing of God, I got out and like a week later was COVID.
Venice Commercial Services doesn't just lay concrete, they build trust. From driveways, pavers, and decorative concrete, their team brings honesty, precision, and craftsmanship to every job. Concrete and memories are forever. Make yours with Venice Commercial Services. Visit vcservicesfl.com. Wow.
So now I'm like out, but I'm not. And that, to be honest, was way harder getting out of jail after 18 months, because when I was in, I'm like, once I'm out and I'm free, I can like do all these things. And then I get out and I have like, I've done a lot of things to isolate myself, but like people have turned against me. I've got nothing. Now I'm living with a not very healthy person in their walk-in closet.
Wow. And
it can't, it's not that I couldn't get a job, but I still had like felony charges in Connecticut I was fighting. I had a federal tax court case, and I ended up cashing out at a small life insurance policy, cashed that out so I could give her a little bit of money to like help, get me to work. I ended up getting a job at Amazon. I worked at Amazon nights for a year. After a year, got days. During this time, I'm still going to court for the court. I still have child custody, things going on. After the living situation of 6 months, I was working at Amazon. Someone from our old church, kind of felt bad for the situation. Her Miss Betty, who's amazing, she knew Milton, she knew my children. She's like a little angel, woman of God, 80 years old, and she rented out a trailer that had next to her house. So I rented that trailer. I ended up being able to get my credit up enough, and just even with Amazon, be able to get a car, like a hoopty, at CarMax. So I did that, and then from there, I'm at Amazon, got the hoopty. There was a place called Semper Laser, which is a laser hair removal. And this is where I do think, like, as far as Jesus, and there was a translation from Isaiah where, like, I heard where, I don't remember the exact voice, but they basically said that God's the extraordinary strategist. And it goes back for when I first became a nurse practitioner, and Milton was, like, I think he was a baby attorney. I couldn't get a nurse practitioner job. I had years as a RN.
So let's hold up real quick, because nurse practitioner, like you say, you walk over that like it's nothing, but like that path right there is a big deal.
Yes.
Like it's like a master's or?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's in biology pre-med. Okay. I have a bachelor's in nursing, and then I have a master's of nursing from University of Florida, and I'm a board certified nurse practitioner. At UF. Yeah. And I did a year abroad at Oxford when I was 19, studying philosophy and theology.
So that's like a big deal. Like, I mean, there's intelligence, there's, you've gained a lot of wisdom and knowledge. So
yes. So
and then to go from living a pretty successful life
very
to
successful, with an attorney that's good looking and
walk-in closet.
Yes. And it was that's why I always say, stay humbled or be humbled.
Wow.
And
that's an amazing story.
Yeah. And I think that, I just always want to be like cognizant that I could go back. I'm no better than anybody. And I'm really blessed that I've been able to kind of elevate up, but I'm very, very cognizant that like it could be taken like that.
100%.
And that this is, God has been elevating me and giving me a position of some power and influence, and that I really must not misuse that at all.
It's important that you're like aware of that, because some people aren't. They would like,
no, you got to be. Yeah. And the more I talk about Jesus, the more I feel like there's like even like spiritual temptation, because the enemy wants to take me out, or, and then be like, look, like she was saying all this and, this happened. And I really believe like there was spiritual warfare with our family, because, I mean, we had a lot of ups and downs tonight, but when things were good and at our core, we did love Jesus. There was a lot of and it just really feels like he just wanted to destroy our family. And the enemy comes to steal, kill, and
exactly.
Destroy. And I feel so hard, like in my spirit, that I just have to stay close to Jesus, and that my role, even though I have not seen my children in 8 years or spoken to them, that I know that they need me, and it maybe not, in adulthood, I know that my future grandchildren need me, and that is like my purpose in life. So, but for the nurse practitioner, my first nurse practitioner job, Milton, when he kept on saying, because I couldn't get a job, because in the hospital, they wanted someone that had experience. Yeah. And I didn't have any NP. I had no nurse practitioner experience. I had nursing experience. So they kept on saying ideal image, which is laser hair removal. And they kept on advertising, we need like a nurse practitioner. And Milton's like, why don't you work at Ideal Image? I'm like, I don't want to work doing laser hair, hair removal. And he's like, well, you're not getting any other job, so maybe you should consider that. So I did Ideal Image for a year just to get the year under my belt, went to the hospital, forgot about Ideal Image. But by the grace of God, from 14 years ago, year at Ideal Image, this company called Semper Laser, which was Brazilian-owned, or I guess Miami, but they're Brazilian, out of Miami. They were wanting to open up in Jacksonville, and they posted like on Indeed, and they're like, they want someone with laser hair removal experience, someone that can do sales to basically open up because they want to do a Jacksonville location. So I interviewed for it. I'm in the trailer. I'm working on Amazon, but I never lost my licenses because I didn't have any convictions. And I meet the owner, her name, one of the owners, and we just hit it off, and she gave me the, and I told her what was going on. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I got some like custody stuff. I got my licenses are clear.
Right.
And I'm like, but I can do it and I can sell. And I was like, just give me a chance. And she was cool. And she's like, I'm going to give you a chance. So I went down to Miami for like a couple weeks to train. And then I helped open up the Semper Laser here in Jacksonville.
Wow.
Was like doing great sales there. And then one day when I was there, a client came in and said, hey, I know this guy, he's like looking to possibly open up a med spa. Would you be interested? And then I went over, and it was at the time called Executive Med Spa. And my current business partner, he owns the building that we're in and then the building next door. And during COVID, a lot of his businesses were out, and he had turned that building into a COVID testing site.
Wow.
So it had like a medical, and he was kind of like, what am I going to do with it? And then I met him December 2021. And it was like a wild thing, because now I think about how wild it is when I look back on it. But like I just met him, and we talked, and like that night, and he talked about like, we should do testosterone, and we should do this. And I was like, yeah. And like I called my best friend, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like do this. And I went, and I first started just working. I was an employee of his for like twice a week. Was still at Semper, and then within 6 months, we were a full-time employee. And then within a year, I was like we had Executive, then we started Alpha Clinic, male testosterone clinic. We had two, but it was like under two businesses or two DBAs under the same umbrella, and it got too complicated. So then it just became Alpha Clinic, and I became a co-owner 50-50 with him. And then,
nice.
Yeah, so it's like...
And that's been going on how long?
So I went over as his to Executive Health January of 2022.
Okay.
And then we started Alpha in that October. But I mean, it's all like this, the same. So it's been over 4 years now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very similar stories with our, the backgrounds.
Yeah, for sure. So
I didn't get custody of my son back yet. He was signed over when I was in Rock Road County Jail, and so he was adopted by his grandma.
Okay.
But she allowed him to, once I got my crap together, to come live with me.
Okay.
And then, but I'm dealing with that wreckage of that past, because I still am not able to be his parent. So like now he's a teenager, and he wants to do teenager stuff, and like I can't say what I want to do because he's not my legally.
No, I get. Yeah, and I mean
it's horrible, but he's in God's hands, and whenever he'll realize that I'm not his worst enemy.
Yeah. So.
But
yeah.
So Alpha Clinic is booming now.
I mean, it's booming. Yeah, I guess it's doing pretty well. Yeah, it's doing pretty well.
But started from nothing, pretty much. And
started with nothing.
What all exactly? Testosterone.
We do testosterone replacement therapy. We do peptides. We do category 1 peptides. So like Samorelin. We also do like amino acids like NAD, glutathione. Weight loss is a big thing.
What's your thoughts on NAD?
I like it. Yeah. I take it.
What about the 1000? Like, is it like a once a week deal?
So you can break it up and take it several days. We can do it via nasal spray, oral troche, which is an oral dissolving tablet, or an injection. So your dosing is going to be about the same per week. It just depends if you're breaking it a little bit, little by little every day.
I was told the NAD one time per week.
Yeah.
And then it burns really bad when you inject it. So
it depends. So because of that, it can burn, and also a lot of people. Like even myself,
and it's a lot in a little syringe.
It feels gives them a funny feeling.
Yeah.
So for that reason, what I generally do now, just because even for myself as a patient, I could imagine that this is kind of a scary feeling. So I usually will lower the doses multiple times a week. There's some people that tolerate it really well. What I always do is the first time we do it in an office, see how you feel. If you're able to do a big dose once a week, that's the easiest, right? The simplest. But if you have side effects, you're not feeling great, obviously it matters how you feel. We'll break it up. But I definitely think it helps a lot.
to energy,
just
cognition.
exactly. Because it's an amino acid. It's kind of like a longevity.
I noticed because I was like a napper, or especially on the weekends. Like I got to get my nap at least one on one day, and I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Is that I used to always get a slump. I didn't take a nap, but
right.
like
the feeling like you want to
exactly.
sleep.
Like I would always in the afternoons just be like, I'm just like I would hit this slump and feel tired, and I don't have that anymore. And I do credit. I mean, I do the glutathione, I do the NAD, and I do some Morelin. So I don't know exactly what to credit it to. Although I would say it's the NAD.
Yeah.
But I don't have that anymore.
That's the thing too, because I'm not a nurse practitioner, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I've, practiced on myself because, and ultimately I think you know that too, that with any supplements, peptides, anything people, you have to find your own way because everybody's body's different.
Exactly.
I could do the celery diet and lose 400 pounds, and the guy next door ain't gonna lose nothing.
No, and that's true. And I mean, I also too, like when people ask me what workout plan do you recommend? What is this? I always am like, I'm gonna for sure recommend that someone does high protein, and that we're gonna make sure that they build muscle. But however that looks like, because if they are like, I hate the gym, then I'm gonna try to get them into calisthenics because my whole thing is I want to teach people something that's going to be lifelong. And there's two things that three, I'm going to say, that you can all do for free that's really helpful. There's just no money in it, and that's why you don't hear about it that much. The number one thing is fasting.
Okay.
Again, patient by patient, I think fasting is great. I think that
I like food too much.
No, but this is why I think in Scripture, so it commands us in Scripture to fast, right?
Right?
But I do believe that part of it, I mean, this is, again, I don't know, I'm not God, so I can't speak, but I think that part of it is spiritual, but there's a lot of physical benefits to fasting.
Really?
And a lot of spiritual texts, not just the Bible, I follow the Bible, but that talks about fasting, and I think that it's because it actually can really clean out detox bad cells, even early cancer cells, and starve it. There's a lot of research of the health benefits of fasting. So I do 72-hour water fasts at least once every 3 months. Again, if I don't know you personally,
so 72-hour water fast means what?
Just water for 72 hours.
No water.
No water. Only water. Only water for 72 hours.
I want to
there is such thing called a dry fast. Never an advocate of that, and I don't do that.
Right.
But I drink water for 72 hours.
And that's the only thing you don't eat no food?
I don't. I will often, because I drink so much caffeine, I will take Excedrin when I'm on the water fast, just because often the Excedrin has...
just take caffeine?
I could take, but it's usually a headache that I get.
Okay.
So I take Excedrin.
Because of the caffeine.
And Excedrin has a little bit of caffeine in it. So,
okay, so you're still eliminating the caffeine.
Well, there's a little bit of caffeine in the Excedrin. Right. So I'm eliminating all food, because the thing is I'm trying to basically put my cells where they're not getting any sort of sugar.
Right?
To a ketosis, and they're also, I should look up on my phone, it's been a while, as far as pathophysiology, but it also goes where it starts basically, not just ketosis, but it starts to the macrophages starts eating up away the bad things. So you don't want to feed it anything. So the caffeine in a pill is not going to feed, really the cells anything. But I think there's a ton of health benefits to fasting, and especially 72 hours or more. I have never done more than 72 hours, but I think that there's a ton. And I also think that there's a lot of health benefits to building muscle. And we always hear about these old people that fall and break their hips, right? And brittle bones. What we don't talk about is that there's two things that are going on. They're not strong enough to break their fall, and they're not agile enough to break their fall. And that's part of the reason I've gotten so into yoga, has to do with the agility. And it's not just mental, but
I've been sore. I've done yoga. I've been sore doing yoga than I have been working out.
Exactly. And all these and
stretching.
No, exactly. So, and I'm really into yin yoga. And yin yoga, if you guys Google it or look it up, not many people are very familiar with vinyasa, which I also do vinyasa. Vinyasa is the very up dog, down dog, which are very tree pose, like a cobra, all these very traditional things at yoga.
Do you have a cracked driveway or need pavers done? Venice Commercial Services handles it all. Commercial and residential concrete and pavers. Top rated with over 55-star reviews. Venice Commercial Services. Visit vccommercialservicesfl.com.
Now, yin yoga is actually holding stretching positions with gravity. So you're not for example, a child's pose, and you're supposed to push yourself to about 70% capacity of feeling uncomfortable stretch for 5 to 15 minutes, if you're able to.
So you're going to hold it.
You're going to hold it. And there was a physician from Yale that I'd seen on a YouTube when I was that he likened it to orthodontics, and that it's one of the only ways, he said, to really become super limber and to do it safely over time. So if you do yin yoga, like you can actually become super agile on it.
I stretch like
Yeah.
before I work out and stuff, and like I'm multiple yoga poses.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Stretch.
Yeah, for sure.
But
the
thinking
holding-
about because
Yeah, the
like especially when
holding.
the hammies are tight and you're just trying to get the
Yeah.
calves opened up, and it's like
Yes.
hurts.
No, it does. So, but so the yin yoga, so I'm doing that. And then I also now I'm teaching like beach yoga, but I always
Okay.
tell people fasting, like yoga and making muscles, like those are all things you can do for free. You could, like you're stretching, like these are all things you can do
Right.
for free that really, really help your health. But there's no money in it, so you don't hear about it that much because I mean, that's why. Yeah,
Well, they
so
want you to pay. They want
Exactly,
you to do
so-
something that's going to cost money. And I guess building muscle, you can do calisthenics, but
for sure.
that's going to entail.
And
a gym.
I obviously there's a lot of times to go to a gym and I'm telling people to come see me. So there are obviously I'm in sales. There are ways that you can do it if you are. I guess I just always want to bring it up too because if you're watching me, like I always think about myself, like when I had no money and I was in this, like I would like it's. I remember thinking like people would like talk about like yoga on the beach and like, I can't. So I try to also give things that people can do if they don't have any the resources. So
Here's what I tell people is that I have 3 gym memberships, and but what price can you put on your health and wellness? Like
I
it's
agree, but
absolutely
sometimes people
priceless.
at least initially might not even have the money for that.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's what.
I've
So I
been there
just try
too.
to
I
be
mean,
encouraging
it's
to those
$10
people.
to go to Planet Fitness.
You're right. I mean, when I was down and out, I got a
if you
YMCA.
skip 2 Starbucks for the week.
I don't disagree because I prioritized getting a YMCA membership when I was out. That's something I prioritized
And
too.
you've worked
Yeah.
out in jail, right?
Yes,
With
and
nothing.
Exactly.
So
So it is something I prioritized. When I was in the trailer, I got a YMCA.
But that's what I'm saying. You can lift your arm 500
Exactly.
times and you're going to have shoulder soreness.
and you can go around like the fish tank with like doing lunges.
But that's the thing, and do you kind of like vet people that you work with too? You're not going to turn someone away and be like, I'm not going to work with you.
I do. I'm private pay, so I don't have to take anybody.
Okay. Well, I'm like their attitudes of where like you're like, hey, you could just tell like somebody's not going to do the work, or do you tell them like, hey, this is what I see. Like if we're going to do this, you have to be in.
It's more that I will turn away people. I don't turn away people that like are down and out those are my people. What I turn away is people that are they come to me and they have all these problems and they've read on the internet these solutions and they want to do it this way. And I'm like, well, that's not why. And I said, look, if you want to work with me, this is how it's fine.
Yeah.
There's other people that don't, but if you're going to work with me, we're going to do it my way. And if you don't, that's completely fine. But it's like,
no, that's it.
Yeah.
I went to that's what happened when I was obese is the doc, it was a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
I'm not talking bad about it, but I went to my doctor and I saw her. I was completely transparent about everything that I was doing.
Yes.
And my blood pressure was high. I was high cholesterol. I was overweight.
Yes.
And she's like, here's this medicine, and go get a CPAP. And and I did, like, I still went through, like, I didn't take the medicine, but I did the sleep study. And then she's like, oh, yeah, we got to go buy one now. And then we'll test you again. And I'm like, I'm going to spend $4,000 just to find out if I even need to be taking this thing.
Yeah. No.
So I was like, and it's called practicing medicine.
Right.
So,
Exactly. No,
so
for sure. And
sometimes these folks are looking at Google just like we
Yeah.
are, and I'm not saying discrediting the medical industry, but I think we can do a lot of stuff.
Yes. And
Just by, I mean, why wouldn't she tell me to just go eat better?
exactly.
Try this first before we put you on cholesterol medicine. Like,
And the other thing too, I won't turn them away, but I will have patients that come in and they'll be like, well, I can't do that. I'll say work out this.
oh yeah.
And what I will still
can't.
take
You
them.
gave up already before you even tried.
I still will take them, but what I'll say is, okay, are you willing to at least work with me and let me try to? And what I'll say first is, can you take a walk? Can you get a weighted vest and take a walk? And if they say I can't, but I say, can you do this first step? And they say yes, I'll still take them because they're still willing, and then I can get them up to there. But if they're like, I can't.
They're willing if they showed up at your door.
So and
So
that's
they're there once, they want change,
So for the most part, usually the people that I don't, and then there's been a couple that it's usually, to be honest, it's usually men, not the women, but they
Really?
come that will come in. They're just like very like they're.
So you work with men also too?
A ton. I do testosterone replacement therapy only for men. I don't do any hormones for women, so I've got a lot of men. But when they come, like if there's sometimes just an attitude or something, and I'm just very nice. I'm like, I just don't think that I'm the right fit for you,
Right.
and I just it's rare. I had someone that was a very difficult patient that was like a referral, very difficult. So much so that he was complaining. I ended up refunding him, and then he tried to come back, and I said, no. Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Take your money and go, buddy.
Yeah, I did. And he came back like a month or so later. He's like, can we try again? And I was like, I'm sorry. We cannot try again.
Wow.
Like, this is not.
I could, man.
Yeah, we can.
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I was very nice. And even at the time, he just got so much. I said,
it's
you know what?
like
I'm
a doctor's office.
Yeah,
it's
and
still, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, look, and it was not, I said, but I'm going to have to refund because this is just not, working. And he was someone, too, that was just trying to dictate everything of how we're going to do. And I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do, and and I'm like, okay, this is just not.
Then why are you here? You've already got it all
exactly.
figured out,
That's
buddy.
where I was like, yeah, this is just not like, you're taking up all of our days. So, but most of my patients are absolutely wonderful, and I'm so blessed. I always, because I don't want to sound like cocky at all. Here's the thing, is that there's nothing that I do that there aren't other providers in town that does. There's nothing proprietary that I do. So I always know that they're choosing me. I'm also not the cheapest in town. So they're choosing me, they're choosing to pay more, and really I am here to really help people, and I want to deliver. And I really, everyone that works I don't have many employees, but they know the number one thing is taking care of the patient. And I always say this is their hard-earned money. A lot of the stuff they could maybe sometimes even get through insurance, and they're choosing to come, to me instead. So we've got to really treat them. And for the most part, I have everyone has good results. I have very, good reviews. I don't want to talk too much about the, negative people, but that's really, and I'm always so blessed because, this is people's hard-earned money. And if they don't, if they didn't trust me and give it to me, then my doors wouldn't be open for the last 4 years.
Right.
Or our doors, my business partners.
You're in the relationship business too.
Yes.
And talk about that, I guess, how it is. I'm new to Jacksonville.
So,
it's my first time here.
Okay.
But I've seen you've been on the news here. You're involved in the community.
I am. So I think everyone likes a good comeback story. I've been in the community for 17 years, so that's a lot of it too. Is that I haven't, even though I had this we had a little rough phase, me and Jacksonville with JSO and being locked up for 18 months here. But I've been around, and I think that that's something. I think I learned this from my mom. It's just to not really I don't run away. So I've stayed here. So I think that part of the way that I have a lot of relationships with everybody is just because I've been here a long time. And I'm on the news. I know a lot of people. And there's a quote that I try to live by that says, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. So I really, really try to be a villager.
Okay.
And that's how I get all these, and just be part of the village as opposed
fellowship
to.
And
Yeah, exactly. And help.
networking.
And anytime that I'm able to help, if I can, I always will try to help my neighbor, my friend, my family. I'm always really trying to help people because,
authentically, because that's the thing. Is
Yeah,
that
it
you're
is,
I give somebody the shirt off your back because
So.
but that comes back. You talk about with faith. I think that
for sure.
you're being a cheerful giver. It ends up being
Yes.
you don't do it thinking you're going to get something in return,
No,
but
and,
God seems always.
Yeah, and what was so interesting was I was really, when I first started the business and I was on TV and everything, I was really ashamed of my past that I had gone through, and I was kind of trying to keep it private because I'm these patients, if they find out that they're gonna not, and then I had all of these people, not all, but I was getting a ton of hate on social media. That was oh, she was incarcerated, she was on drugs, just kept on. I would have to erase it all the time, And then I had a therapist, and she was just why don't you just maybe just get it, ahead of it. And I was so afraid. This is about a year and a half ago now, and I was you know what? I'm just gonna do a little reel. Gabby, that you met today, she helps with the story. It's on my, it's a thumbtack or whatever.
The glow up story.
Yeah. And she was helped me with that with pictures, and I came out and I was I felt so sick, and I was Jesus, But at this time too, I wasn't. The business wasn't even as big as it was now, but I was let this land, because I also had this fear, I'm going to keep on keep on going up, and then this is all going to get exposed, and I'm going to lose everything. And when I came out, and then even too with the ugly pictures of me, my picking my face and everything, it was so well received.
Yeah.
And it was it actually, when I did that.
How can you not receive that well?
I got
even the haters
Yeah, so then it was so it was so well received. The picture of the trailer, the picture of me at Amazon with my little, me not looking good, all of that was so well received that then I also too privately had so many patients, friends were me too, or this with my, all these things, and it just made people even more feel I'm a safe space that they can come to. And I think that that's really been really cool because two, I think that a lot of times people come to me really down and out and they trust me because they know that I can, I've been there and I've done that and I don't think I'm judgmental.
I think with jail ministry, right?
Yeah, I do that as well. Just like you do.
You go in and I just remember being on the other side and seeing people when they came in and I'm like, man, there's this pastor, man. He just looks like he's got, this.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got a white picket fence at the house, right? Like this life that's just, grand and probably never got in trouble or never, and, but then you got a guy that's like sleeved up on both arms that comes in and like the whole room's like, all right, we're listening to this one.
Yes.
So I think God uses us.
Yeah,
He uses people who have been through, that pain and that desperation.
100%.
To help.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why testimony is powerful because, when you're going through, when you're in those times, like it sucked. Right?
It was horrendous. Yeah.
But being able to look at it in hindsight now, it's like I wouldn't change it for the world. I don't regret anything. Because it made me who I am today.
And I agree with that too. And I think that I wish things obviously had been, really different in my life, but now I can and I have not yet been reunited with my kids, but I can I feel in my heart, I can see how somehow through all this tragedy and things that God has been working, in our lives. And, Milton's family for the longest time, we were completely estranged. Now I don't speak to the people that have custody of the kids, but all the rest of his extended family, I'm going tomorrow to see, spend time with them and my family and Milton's family, in the fall, some of his aunts and cousins came down with my mom, it's just the fact, it's Jesus. And I can just see.
Have they seen you at all? The kids, do you think, or no?
I think on social media so I'm not, so the people, so they got legally adopted. They got legally adopted. So people think I must have done something wrong to make this happen. But really what happened was they were in Connecticut and I had felony charges in Connecticut pending against the people that have custody of the kids that adopted them had pressed charges against me. And they had a temporary restraining order attached to those charges. But I had a custody DCF court in Florida, which part of it for reconciliation is I should be seen and speaking to my kids.
Right.
But I can't do that because I have this criminal case against me with a temporary, restraining order.
Right.
So it was
in
another state. So the Connecticut court was well, we're not going to remove a restraining order to a mother that doesn't have custody in Florida. And Florida's well, we can't do anything. It's a criminal, case. So they kind of were. And I understand intellectually, probably both courts are we're just going to try to protect the kids. We don't really, know what's going on. But when that happened, my rights were terminated. And this is recently.
Same thing happened to me.
Okay.
Same exact thing.
Yeah. So when my rights were terminated, I ended up getting St. John's Law Group. Now, St. John's is this county south of Duval County.
Yep.
And they're a great law group, and they look at everything, and they're this is crazy. We're going to get you your kids back. And they, because they thought it was crazy. And I end up taking it to the first appellate court and then to Florida Supreme Court. Florida Supreme Court accepts the case, which is very rare that they're going to even look at a case. But then during this time, and I still have felony charges pending, so I still have this temporary restraining order, and I can't see them. They end up getting rush adopted. And then Florida Supreme Court said, well, you're because I was trying to basically fight that it was wrongful. It was wrongful that my rights were terminated. So when that happened, Florida's Supreme Court says, well, they've been adopted, so now it's moot, MOOT, throughout the case. I ended up beating, I don't like that term. The charges in Connecticut, all the criminal charges eventually got dropped, but this is 2 years ago. It's recent, the criminal charges. I fought it forever from the outside because I was just I was working as the owner at Alpha with felony charges in Connecticut. But when I got out, I ended up, my public defender in Connecticut and I are still stay in contact. She had a private attorney, basically said the only thing I could do, I could try to go to Connecticut, press charges on the family for false charges on me. If I win that, then come to Florida, say fraud on the court. It's very convoluted. He said, I would recommend trying to work it out as a family. Attorneys reached out to the family directly. They did not want to work it out. So then it was just advised, why don't you just wait until your oldest, is 18? Because this is
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So that's where, So it's, everyone's and somebody the other day that doesn't know, they're why don't you just fight for your kids or go get them? I'm I did go to Connecticut in 2018, got found, it's,
and the other thing is the lawyer fee.
Crazy.
I would do anything, go to the ends of the earth, but at the same time, I got told the same thing. I was I want, full custody of my kid back. Ultimately, I'm still dealing with the wreckage of my past.
No,
and my consequences of my actions of not being able to be there for my son as hard as it is for me, you know, I made those decisions and I was unfit to be a parent. I was 100%. That's why they served me those papers when I was in jail. And like, you know, and I couldn't get it together. I was in DCF and failing drug tests and trying to get over on drug tests and just couldn't stop. And, but it's definitely tough because there are good things. Like he gets to go to college for free. Like he has free health care. There's, you know, and there was some talk there for a little while that he was going to get you know, he turned 16. He could
like emancipate himself.
And you know, now he's playing that card, but to emancipate himself from me and everybody.
Like I'm just gonna
He's like and because you know, I keep him accountable. You know, I want that for him and but you know, there's still hope.
Yeah, for sure.
There's still hope and
and
you know, I definitely feel where you're at for sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. So I'm hoping, you know, Max is my oldest and he turns 18 next year. So I'm hoping that, you know, we'll be able to reconcile, you know, and start talking.
So you think they know that they've seen you on social media or?
Yes. So it's hard because I speak to family that like so they're still in family. Yeah. I mean, kind of. Yeah. I mean, so I'm like, this is where it gets hard. So they're with their great aunt and their uncle, right? So their great aunt that has them is their dad who passed aunt, and she's one of 17 children. Wow. And then they all, so it's a huge family. So I mean, I still speak to a lot of the family.
Puerto Rican,
and they're well, that was what you said. But you're married to a Latino, so you can say that. So I don't want to. I mean, but I there's like intel, I guess.
There's intel. That's good though. I mean, at least there's, you know, something there.
So I speak to a lot. I speak to a lot of his extended family.
And then you're going to see the cousins.
Yeah, tomorrow.
And then you're almost your birthday.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I see, God's working, and then, you know, I always want to be careful how much I talk about, but I just know in my heart, I know that Max, my oldest, you know, really, we had a special bond. I had a special bond with all three. The youngest one, from what doesn't really remember me, so that's, you know, I recognize that all three of them have had very different experiences, you know, throughout all of this. So the relationship and rebuilding is probably going to look different, you know, for every single one. I always want to be careful. Like, I'm very, very thankful. I don't love the way it was all handled. At the end of the day, I am thankful that they are happy, healthy, you know, like
they're being taken
care of. So I don't, like, I want to be very, you know, and I do hope that me and their adoptive mother can, you know, in time, you know, have at least a peaceful, you know, relationship.
That's where I'm at with my son's grandma.
I kind of joke, like, hopefully we'll have just like a co-aesthetic, like, divorcee, you know, like, relationship.
I think it will be too, because they get older and stuff, and then like you got weddings and
for sure, and
all that to go attend. You're gonna have to
exactly. And I know from my perspective is I never want my biological sons. I never want them to feel that they have to choose. So from my perspective, if someone loves you in the family, and you want to have a relationship with them 100, like, from my perspective, you're never going to have to choose between me and anybody else. The more people that love you, the better. Yeah. That's my perspective. So I know that for my, you know, I will never divide and conquer anything. Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
you've forgiven like the whole everybody in the whole situation. How has your forgiveness been, even with yourself? Like,
so I think like it's really, I'm able to now. The longer it goes, I'm able to understand more why everything happened how it did. Like, I can understand,
empathize and
and I can understand how my behavior, my actions, and I also feel bad for myself because I look back and I'm like, I thought I got held contempt of court. I'm acting, and I think I'm being a mama bear. I'm being protective, although I'm acting inappropriate in court. So this crazy person should not have, you know. So there were things that I thought, I'm going to Connecticut, like these things that I thought I'm being strong and I'm showing everybody how much I love my children. It's not, you know, not helpful. I can also understand.
Wasn't the way to handle the situation.
The way to handle the situation. The drugs clearly didn't help either. I can understand when Milton died, I can understand why people thought what they thought about me. So I have a lot more empathy for my behaviors looking very concerning. Although I do believe, knowing myself, I don't think I was I wasn't in a great state of mind, but I understand that I was coming from a place where I thought was helping my kids. However, it was really repelling them. So not that, you know, from the court system. So I can see how my choices, you know, I understand more now how it all happened. So I feel kind of for that person.
Right.
I can understand the family. And at the end of the day, my kids are healthy, smiling, and I just want, and Milton too, like their dad, like we just want healthy, happy children.
Right.
And if that's, I don't know why God allowed all of these things to happen, but at the end of the day, like I will go through whatever suffering. I don't want my kids, if they can help it, I don't want them to suffer from drug or mental health. If there's I would suffer anything for my kids to be healthy and to know Jesus, and my grandchildren to be healthy and know Jesus. So I'm willing to kind of go through whatever it takes for, that end result.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stand. So I think I've forgiven everybody. I mean, I wish things had been different, but yeah, I don't have any anger or animosity towards anybody.
Was your faith walk like strengthened through the process?
So I'm glad that you asked me that, because everybody thinks that this happened and I found Jesus, but like I always had Jesus, and this is how I survived it all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even like my psychosis, I was like, Jesus, help me, and like somehow like I kept on praying. He's like, oh, we're gonna lock up this crazy one. Yeah, like that's how we're gonna help her. So
believe it or not, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, so I've known Jesus since I don't really have a coming to Jesus story.
Okay.
I was raised by my parents. My dad's parents were pretty influential too. They were very strong Christians. I knew about Jesus since I can remember, and I always believed in him. Went to a Christian high, and I always believed in Jesus. Believed that he died for my sin. Believed that he was the Son of God. And in high school, I was really into like theology and learning. So I'd read like Screw Tape Letters and C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity. So I like loved theology and Jesus. Like this was me. I went to Christian high school, did missions trips, studied philosophy and theology.
Wow.
So I always had this. Milton was Catholic. I was raised Lutheran. We did baptize Max Lutheran, and we did baptize Marco and Leo Catholic, but then we were going to a Baptist church. When he died, we were going to actually an Assemblies of God church up in North Dakota. So this was like, I was always and publicly a Christian talking about Jesus.
Right.
My kids, like I was. And then when all this happened, I never like
never went away.
It never went away.
Right.
And when I got locked in North Dakota, they came and extradited, and I was like in a holding cell, and then I was in solitary for a week. I was just like praying to Jesus the whole time.
Wow.
And I always was proclaiming, even when all this happened, from like my first attorney was a Jewish attorney, but I was like proclaiming from the beginning, even like the mental health things, like I have Jesus, things are going to be okay. My license will not, like I will not lose my license. I will get my kids back.
It's almost like a Joseph story.
Yeah, in the name of Jesus. And even when I was going real crazy, I'm like, my kids will come back to me. I will not lose my license in the name. Like I was like really like always like that. And I never stopped being like that. I never doubted. I mean, I've doubted, like I didn't think is maybe things aren't going to go how I want it, because I'm also aware in scripture things don't always go, how humanly you want it. But I've always, like, that's why I'm still standing. It's like, it's Jesus. So
what would you say was obviously the Discipline and Legacy podcast, what would you say was the part of your life where you had to incorporate discipline into your to get you to where you are now? Or was it always there? Was it?
Been
disciplined.
I was always really disciplined, and then when
to get a master's degree.
Yeah. So what happened was, I was always very disciplined. I, in hindsight, should never have gotten on the prescription drugs. And then when I really think what happened was when Milton died and my kids were removed, it was such a like trauma to my brain. I couldn't you go from a family of 5 to 1 in like a 45-day period. Like I couldn't make sense of it. So then I guess I became undisciplined during that time. But even during that time, in hindsight, I still when I got arrested, still I had a house, I had a car. I never really went. I was not in a good state, but so I 100% agree that discipline is really important.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I don't know when I became disciplined. I think that I've always been pretty disciplined.
I can identify with that.
Yeah, because even my friends from I lived in Polk County for 5 years. I was wild, but they were even when you used to go out and drink, we'd be getting up at 11. You're like, I just ran 5 miles and I did this and I did that. Yeah,
even though you were still
yeah,
drinking
exactly.
the night
Yeah,
before.
so this is back when I was 18. I was always super but then straight A's and working out and
Wow.
So
what would you say to somebody who's maybe the next generation who wants to get into the industry that you're in?
So what my recommendation would be is figure out whether it be like aesthetics, body transformations, peptides, testosterone, figure out what you're passionate about. But really, if you want to make it, you have to really care about people.
Yeah.
Like the people that really stay in the game. And even like with personal trainers, the ones that I know, everyone that I know that stays in the game of aesthetics or body transformation or fitness, they all truly at their heart care about people. So if you're going into this profession because you think it can make you money or it can get you fame, I don't think you're going to last. But if you go into it with a genuine heart of, I have a desire and I have this gift and I want to help other people, that is what's going to make you be successful. And it's also going to keep you going on the days that you don't want to keep going because you feel a higher purpose. And outside of my family, my next purpose is really like my patients.
Okay. And then what kind of legacy and impact do you want to leave behind?
So we talked about this a little bit with the podcast when you were on mine, is that I want to be really careful because I can easily get into like big character, like I want, or main character energy, and I don't want that. So I think that like the legacy that I want to leave behind is just healthy children, healthy grandchildren that know Jesus.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to have some financial freedom to give them. I'd like to have some land to give them. I would like to have some generational wealth for them. But if my kids can be happy, healthy, know Jesus, then that's,
What else you got going on right now?
My little beach yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
You're not writing no books? You're not got anything in the works?
No,
Nothing?
you know what? I always say maybe when I'm an old lady one day I'll write a book.
Yeah.
But no, just the podcast, the Alpha Clinic.
Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about the podcast.
Yeah, so the
much.
podcast, the Alpha Clinic, and the beach yoga.
Talk about your podcast. What do you...
So it's just a local podcast. It's called Feliciano and Friends.
She's gonna have 10,000 subscribers in the next 6 months.
So yeah, I hope. And I named it Feliciano and Friends in part because I'm trying to have some things for my oldest if he comes back next year that he could be part of. And I know from having him for the first almost 9 years, and he's a talker and he's charismatic. Yeah. So part of the reason I did the Feliciano and Friends podcast was to have something for him. Okay. If he were to come back next summer, if he decides to, when he's 18, it would be between his junior and senior year because he repeated second grade the year his dad died. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason with the yoga. When we were younger, I used to do a lot of hip hop dancing. My oldest did a ton of hip hop dancing. So in part with the podcast is something that I was trying to do. So if my kids, want to do it one day, and then right now where I'm doing it is just to try to promote local businesses, but also just like people. I just love people. So I just like hearing people's stories. I had 2 local comedians on last night. I like just how you said, I think everybody has a story. We can all learn from one another. So it's just, a platform for people to and to talk about themselves.
I think a podcast is different too, because like most people who would like maybe be scared of like talking on camera or like it's a conversation. Exactly. So you can get out and like forget the camera's even there and just be yourself. And when you get to see somebody's like true authentic self, then I think that's important, and to be able to showcase that to the world. So that's what I'm doing it. And so, I mean, I really enjoy it too. So like, it's I do it like once a week, but it's like the highlight of my week. It's not making me any money or anything, but I love it. It's a passion.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. So, but I would love more people to watch it, and I'd love to have, more people on, but it's cool.
You have Instagram for the podcast?
I do. You
have Instagram?
So I have Feliciano and Friends for the podcast. I have Alpha Clinic Instagram for Alpha Clinic. I have Christina Feliciano, which my personal IG has the most followers. Okay. And then I have a Facebook too. And then I have alphacliniconline.com for the business. On that, you can actually link. They have links to the podcast if you want to be a guest, and they also have links to the beach yoga on the alphacliniconline.com.
So we're going to post all of those links in the bio. Any other links?
No, just the alphacliniconline.com. And then if you want to follow me personally, Christina Feliciano, IG. Okay. And then Alpha Clinic Jax or Feliciano and Friends.
Awesome. IG, anything else you want to say to the folks at home?
No. Well, if you guys are in Florida or South Carolina or North Carolina, this is where we have all the licensures. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for body transformation, I'm your girl. If you're local and looking for aesthetics, I'm your girl. If you want to do beach yoga, I do it over at the Hampton Inn Oceanfront that you went to.
Staying there. The hotel there.
And if you want to be a guest on the podcast, I'd love to have you on. And just thank you guys for supporting me. And anyone that comes to Alpha, I'm just really blessed and so thankful and appreciative and honored that you are giving your hard-earned money to the clinic so we can help you. And thank you so much.
And then real quick too, there's an online for that too. So if somebody wanted to reach out and they were in Florida or they were in those states.
Yeah. So on Alpha Clinic, alphacliniconline.com, you can fill out a questionnaire and we can reach out to you. Also, there's a link for the podcast where you can fill it out. But for the most part, people DM me and they'll say, hey, can I come to your clinic? And then I set them up for a consultation. I do free phone consultations and I do free in-person consultations as well.
So you respond to DMs?
Oh, yeah, that's the majority. But yeah, so the most of the time people just DM me and that's how I'm doing it. But I would say them about 50-50. People go to the website, but then about 50% of the people just DM me. And then, I respond to all DMs.
Guys, check her out. We're going to put all the links in the bio. You can get it online. You can get the same treatment online.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. So we do telehealth. So we can ship to you and we can do telehealth for all of these things. Besides the Botox filler, I can't do telehealth.
I love telehealth.
Yeah.
I just was on the 95 talking to my doctor, going over my blood work. And not having to go to the doctor's office. And
no, the only thing I can't telehealth is the Botox fillers.
That you can't.
That's the only thing. Yeah.
I just haven't figured that out yet.
Not yet.
Maybe Claude will come up
right, exactly. I'm going to teach them just, hey, go.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll send it to you.
Yes.
But
that's
guys,
the new business idea. You got to cut that before people steal it.
I bet
right?
Yeah.
So.
Stay tuned. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, guys. Give us a follow. Give her a follow. Thank you guys for tuning in again, and have a good one.
All right. Thank you so much.